Joining us right now from Cleveland is Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo, I know every time something like this happens, it brings back those terrible memories of when your daughter was over during the time of the Bataclan and the stadium terror attack.
It does. It gives you the chills, Steve. I mean, on several levels. One is there but for fortune. The terror attack is terrorizing because it's spontaneous and the victims are randomly selected very often, and people have absolutely nothing to do with whatever beef the terrorists have. The other thing is this was a similar-sized crew, it seems, of terrorists as that Paris attack in November 2015 that affected my family so profoundly. But it was 1/10 as successful as Paris. In Paris, Simone, my lovely daughter, now safely in New York and working for the district attorney's office. There she was in the stadium, Holland playing France in soccer, and all of a sudden there are explosions outside. Why was she spared? She was spared because randomly the ticket taker at the football stadium, at the soccer stadium, wouldn't let the suicide attackers in. Right. So they ignited their vests outside the stadium so the people inside, including my dear Simone, were safe, but so many others died. What happened here, there was a chance that happened here, that's why the casualties were only 1/10 as bad as Paris. What happened here is, as they were preparing a bomb on Wednesday night in the apartment outside of Barcelona, it exploded. Now the bomb exploded, so now their original plot, which was obviously to take this bomb they were making, put it in a vehicle, and blow something up in a classic vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, was thwarted. So what do? Then the kid grabs gets the brother's rental van, it seems to me, and randomly they go to Las Ramblas, a place in Barcelona, a wonderful promenade. My family and I have been there many times, and commits this atrocity. But it was basically a failed attack, even though 14 tragically were killed. 5 terrorists were killed outside, 70 miles outside to the south, Cambrils. I think the Spanish authorities did a great job, and our thoughts and prayers are with the people, the parents of people who happen to be in Barcelona.
Absolutely, but often after these attacks, Geraldo, there's frustration that there were warning signs, right? I mean, our CIA did warn officials in Spain about 2 months ago that an attack was likely specifically in this Las Ramblas area of Barcelona. What more do we need to do? What more do officials need to do, the government and civilians? I mean, we've had a lot of guests on the show today talking about how PC we still are in this country and around the world, and we've got to change that.
Well, in regard to that last part, Abby, about being PC, one of the ways we beat traditional organized crime, the mafia and so forth, was to infiltrate with informants and with undercover operatives. I have not yet seen that, at least not publicized.
Not that we know of.
We managed to penetrate one of these cells with young agents of our own who can then tip us to what's happening. I think we have to be much more aggressive. I also believe that this war in Syria and Iraq, Mosul has fallen. Raqqa, the capital of the so-called caliphate, still stands, even though it is beleaguered. We must crush them there. We must wipe out the rat's nest. We have to get them in a place where they don't have a safe space to plot these diabolical schemes and these attacks on innocent civilians as they try to disrupt Western civilization. We've got to wipe out their base, penetrate their cells, get enhanced intelligence, and then the simple stuff, like in front of the Fox building where you're sitting right now, there are these concrete barriers that prevent vehicles from coming off the street onto the sidewalk. I call on every single public plaza in the United States of America to have these vehicle restraining devices. They cost 50 cents of concrete, and you can save an awful lot of lives. Look at Times Square, the huge right there. It's 1,000 feet from where you sit right now. The huge promenade there, now banned to traffic largely on the west side of the street, and wherever you see the pedestrians, they've got to walk through these pillars. Why not? You can prevent a serious attack with very little expense, with some forethought.
It's a great idea. Geraldo, I want to take it a step back here. Do you think what just happened in Barcelona will change any minds globally with regard to open borders, and specifically here in the U.S. with regard to the travel ban?
Well, I mean, it's certainly going to bring up the issue. I just want a quick history lesson, though. Remember, Spain is separated from Africa, from Morocco, the former Spanish territory, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, by the Straits of Gibraltar, which is like a 20-mile wide a group of water. Unlike the Mediterranean further east, which is, you know, hundreds of miles wide, right there in Spain, it's only 20 miles from Africa, 20 miles from the base of the festering population of activists. What we have now common in this country, if you see something, say something.
Well, we do know that one of those suspects who's been arrested was Spanish, and we do know that another was Moroccan, to your point. But real quickly, before you go, Geraldo, do you think, and they're looking into this particular, the driver, the 18-year-old kid, apparently he had been to Madrid, a ways away from his home for a while. They want to know who he met with earlier this week. Apparently he arrived in Barcelona a couple of days ago. Do you think he actually was in contact with ISIS directly, or do you think this is one of those online things?
I think, I don't know, obviously, but remembering what I was like when I was 18, or you all, when you were 18, you worry about sports and girls, and life is very innocent, and you're just beginning. Here's an 18-year-old who is so committed to this perverse ideology that he's willing to die for it. It's tragic. I don't know how you stop it. But it seems to me that the most likely thing is not that the 18-year-old kid was talking to Raqqa, Syria, but that there's an older person or several older people in charge of a terrorist cell that includes many of these impressionable children. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't one of these Wahhabist clerics who tells the kid, you know, go to heaven and virgins and so forth. I think that I have no problem if a mosque is known to be preaching extremist rhetoric. I have zero problem with putting agents inside to tell us what the cleric is doing and what these people are plotting.
Right. No one is born as an Islamic extremist. We've got to figure out how people do radicalize. It's a great point. Geraldo, good to have you on the show.
Thanks, Geraldo.